Albert Einstein. That name alone evokes images of greatness. His theories on relativity, the groundbreaking discoveries that shaped the very foundation of physics. His legacy has impacted nearly every aspect of modern science. But there's something else that makes Einstein remarkable, something that many of us tend to overlook. He was a father who, beyond his scientific contributions, left behind profound lessons about life, creativity, and how to raise children who not only think but dream. Imagine for a moment being a parent in today's world, raising a child who might seem lost in the sea of expectations, pressures, and challenges. Now, picture raising a child who not only meets these challenges, but does so with a sense of curiosity, purpose, and creativity. This was how Albert Einstein raised his own children. And it wasn't just about teaching them math or science. It was about teaching them to dream, to think for themselves, and to embrace the unknown. What can we learn from Einstein's approach? What can parents today, especially those of us raising children in an increasingly fast-paced and uncertain world, take from the way Einstein nurtured his children's imaginations and helped them grow into dreamers? That's what we'll explore today. Einstein wasn't the perfect student. In fact, he struggled with school. His teachers thought he lacked discipline, and at one point, he was labeled a poor student. He didn't excel in languages or mathematics in his early years. In fact, it was his unconventional way of thinking, his rebellious nature when it came to formal education, that would eventually lead him to success. Einstein's childhood was not marked by impressive grades or a strict academic routine. It was characterized by a deep, insatiable curiosity, a curiosity that led to questions beyond the standard curriculum. Einstein wasn't interested in rote memorization or simply absorbing facts. He wanted to understand the why behind things. He wanted to know how the world worked at its deepest level. And this thirst for understanding was something he instilled in his children. His children didn't just memorize facts. They were encouraged to question everything around them. Why is the sky blue? Why do we see light but not feel it? These were the types of questions Einstein loved. These weren't just idle curiosities. These were the sparks that lit the fires of scientific discovery. As parents, we often face the challenge of encouraging curiosity in our children. The demands of school and society push them to focus on test scores, grades, and completing assignments. But Einstein's life shows us a different way. Curiosity should not only be encouraged, but nurtured. Questioning is where real learning begins. So, as a parent, instead of simply providing answers to your child's questions, ask them more questions. Encourage them to think for themselves. Help them build the curiosity that will carry them through life. Imagine, as a parent, you're not just teaching your child to answer questions. They're learning to ask the right ones. And through that process, they're developing the critical thinking skills that will help them not only in school, but throughout their entire lives. But there's more. Einstein didn't just teach his children to ask questions. He taught them to be creative. He wanted them to develop the ability to think independently, to look at a problem from different angles, and to solve it with new, innovative solutions. Creativity was one of Einstein's most prized attributes, and it's one of the qualities he passed on to his children. We often think of creativity in terms of art or music, but Einstein's creativity was rooted in his scientific imagination. He created whole new frameworks of understanding that defy conventional thinking. In his mind, there was no such thing as a fixed answer. Everything was up for exploration. He asked his children to do the same, to not accept things as they were, but to approach problems and ideas with fresh eyes and a willingness to find new solutions. One of the greatest gifts a parent can give their child is the freedom to create, freedom to fail, freedom to experiment, and freedom to imagine. For Einstein, failure was never something to be ashamed of. He didn't view it as a setback, but as part of the process. How many of us shy away from failure because of the pressure to succeed, to meet societal expectations? Einstein's message was clear. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a part of success. And here's where we as parents have an opportunity. Instead of shielding our children from failure, we should allow them to experience it. We should teach them that failure is not the end, but a necessary step in the journey to success. As parents, it's crucial that we model resilience for our children. Einstein showed his own children how to embrace failure, how to learn from mistakes, and how to keep moving forward despite obstacles. This mindset, rooted in perseverance, can make all the difference in our children's future success. Einstein's creative process wasn't just about building ideas from scratch. It was about breaking things down into simple, understandable concepts. He believed that simplicity was a hallmark of true understanding. And that's a lesson that we can apply in our parenting as well. In a world filled with noise and complexity, Einstein's approach was to make things simple. He didn't overwhelm his children with complicated theories or expectations. Instead, he showed them that you can tackle even the most complex problems by breaking them down into smaller, manageable pieces. This is something we, as parents, can incorporate into our daily lives. We often think that the best way to educate our children is to make everything complicated, to prove that we know more than they do. But Einstein's approach shows us that the true test of understanding is being able to explain things in a simple, clear manner. When we simplify, we make the complex easier to understand, and in that, we help our children grow. But perhaps the most important lesson Einstein gave his children was the power of dreams. Einstein was a dreamer. He saw the world not just as it was, but as it could be. He imagined a universe that no one else had ever seen, and he encouraged his children to do the same, to dream not just about what was possible, but about what was impossible. In today's world, it's easy for children to be caught up in practicalities, to think that success only comes when they follow a set path. But Einstein's life tells us something different. He tells us that the most important thing we can do for our children is to help them dream, to inspire them to think beyond the limits of their current circumstances. Dreams are what fuel progress. They're what push us to explore new territories and redefine what's possible. So, as a parent, the next time a child comes to you with an idea that seems a little too big, a little too out there, don't shut it down. Encourage it. Tell them that there are no limits to what they can achieve if they are willing to dream big and work hard to make those dreams come true. Because that's exactly what Einstein did. And this brings us back to one simple truth. We all have the ability to raise dreamers. Einstein's approach wasn't just about scientific thinking. It was about raising children who dared to dream, who asked big questions, and who thought outside the box. It was about giving them the freedom to explore, to fail, and to succeed on their own terms. As we conclude, let's take a moment to think about the lessons we can apply in our own lives. Ask yourself, how can I encourage my child to be more curious, to think creatively, to embrace failure as part of their journey? And most importantly, how can I help them dream without limits? Einstein's life shows us that anyone can change the world. And the best way to help the next generation do the same is to instill in them the belief that there are no limits to what they can achieve. Thank you for joining me in exploring how Albert Einstein raised dreamers. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to tune in for the next video, where we'll continue to explore more lessons from great minds and how we can apply them to our lives. Together, we can nurture a generation of dreamers who will change the world just like Einstein did.